everybody. My next guest is a comedian, voiceover artist, and actress. She performs all around the country and has even taken her talents to the UK and Spain. I also got to work with her recently on a reality show we're working on called Christina Can. And here she is, folks, Dara Jemmott. Dara, how's it going? How you been?
I'm great. I am a little tired, but I am great. Tired from being busy, and I'd rather be busy than bored. So I'll take it.
Busy always trumps boredom, even though when you're busy, the only thing you want to do is be bored again. But but I prefer.
Yes.
Tell me about what were you doing today that was keeping you busy?
Well, today I've done absolutely nothing, Don.
See,
This talking to you is going to be the bright spot of my day, and then I will retreat back to the bed and continue watching reality TV and doing absolutely nothing. Um, but no, yeah, yesterday I had a show and it went really well, and then I went to another show and I ended up getting time. And then I was in Atlantic City this weekend.
nice.
So I did a quick trip down there, got to do two shows, and then came back, had to feed a cat, had to go run to a show. So it's just kind of been like nonstop. So this is the first day that I don't have to leave the house. So I'm not going to.
Right, there you go. And you know, when you're a comedian and you're doing nothing but watching TV, that's research, you know?
100%. It is people research. I get to analyze the complexities of human personalities, and that's exactly what I call it.
That's what's great about, like you mentioned, some of those reality shows and some of those like TLC reality shows, man. You could really see some different types of people, you know, whether it's the 800-pound woman or the other one where the girl eats, like I saw one where a girl she ate her couch. She like bits and pieces of her couch every day. So some
Yeah,
weirdos.
some real weirdos. I haven't been able to get into those shows because I feel like those people really are going to stress me out. Like the ones who are like eating poop and eating chalk, and it's just like, what is going on in your life? That, like, how did we get there? How did
Right.
we? I've never looked at my couch and said, "Ooh, yummy!" Like, never, not once.
And the hoarders too, when you see like they have dead cats in there and all kinds of like stuff that when they start to dig through it, they find all these weird things. That's just crazy how like I can never really truly understand the mind of a true hoarder, like the true ones.
Right.
Like not me with my packed closet jammed up and people call me a hoarder, but no, this is real hoarder where you got like a pathway going through the house and dead animals. You can't get to the
Yeah. It's.
kitchen.
Have you ever been in a real life hoarder's home?
When I was a kid, and this is before the word hoarder was what we called these people. There was this old lady who lived in this is in Levittown, Long Island, and it was my cousin's house, and there was a lady who collected newspapers, and one day we went there for I forget what the heck why we were there, but I got to go into the house and through the whole house was like packed with newspapers, and you kind of walking through like a weird little hallway and of newspapers, and it's very narrow. It's like a little cave of everywhere you look is stacks. I don't know how long she's been collecting those. It was crazy. Fire hazard.
My God. Yeah, it's crazy. I've been in two houses that I would consider hoarding. Like you, I have a very jam-packed closet. I have all the clothes. I got rid of a lot of things when I moved, and some of those things I deeply regret getting rid of.
Yes.
But we move on and make room for new blessings. At least that's what I tell myself. But but yeah, being in a real life hoarder home is wild because there's like no space for human beings.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And you were in
I
two
yeah.
of them? Two, so you knew two people who lived like that? Like,
Yeah. One was a friend, it was like her family. And I love them. So I was like, I can't like I'm not gonna say anything. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I think that they've fixed it since. Um, and then I did a show in New England, and the people were so nice, so nice. But we were in a pretty rural part of New England. I'm keeping it vague so I don't,
Expose them.
expose anyone's identity. But we were in a rural part of New England, and I waited too long to use the bathroom. And this was like in pandemic too. And they were like, well, we have an outhouse. And I was like, well, I'm not using an outhouse in the dark. Like maybe if I could see what was happening in the outhouse.
You have to have light or something, or electricity going on in there.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna check out the outhouse, Don,
Yeah.
not in the night. And I could tell that, and I didn't want to go on this man's front lawn. And that just felt rude, you know. But when I went inside the house and I went inside the bathroom, I was like, I would have rather popped a squat in front of every single person outside than to be in this home another second. But I
It is
appreciate the
crazy.
man for letting me use his bathroom. I could see that he did not want me to use, like, you know what I mean? Like he
Right. He was
didn't.
like, oh God, okay. You really gotta go?
Yeah,
You sure you didn't try the neighbor down the street? He's like, all right, well, you asked for it.
exactly. And boy, did I ask for it. I walked in, there was just so much stuff everywhere. And then when I walked into the bathroom, I was like, is that a black rug? And I was like, no, that is black mold. I'm like, what is happening?
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But the people were so nice. They were really lovely.
Yeah. No, they're always nice. That's the thing too. They're always nice. And when I watch those shows, like, because like you said, we both have packed closets. We know how hard it is to get rid of things. So sometimes I feel sorry for them. I'm like, oh yeah, I understand. When they say, no, you don't know, I might need that someday. I don't want to throw that away. And it's like, a hanger. But I'm like, I'm like, I kind of get it. I understand the mentality. I just like, it's, I guess when it gets to the garbage piling up is when.
Right. Like when Fluffy goes missing and you don't know that Fluffy's, under the newspapers for months or years, that's when it becomes a problem. But I think that that is also what's scary to me is because I can identify with them, like I have tickets from concerts and just like childhood knickknacks. I'm doing a show tomorrow where we have to show like something that we made as a child, and not a problem. I have
Right.
that.
Exactly. Exactly. And people come to you for that stuff because you're the archivist.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, no one's asking for my childhood art, but there is a painting that I saved since a kid, and I'm so happy that I did. I'm gonna frame it because I'm still very proud of it.
There you
So
go. There you go. And something that
yeah.
you made, and you're probably happy that you kept it.
These little post 9/11 babies, these little quarantine kids. Oh my God. They have to worry about dying from a high five, killing grandpa with a hug. What kind of life is that? You're gonna try to give one of these kids a little hug or kiss after the pandemic. They're gonna be like, yo, what the fuck you think this is, the 90s? The kids are not okay.
I got to know you a little bit with Christina Ken's show. It was awesome working with you and the team there. We had such a blast. Tell me about like a little bit about your experience of being part of the show and just get your insight on it.
Yeah, I had such an incredible experience. First of all, everyone on the team was such a pleasure to work with. Everyone on the crew, Hasib, of course, Darren. I'm sort of naming people. I'm going to feel bad for not naming everyone, but everyone was incredible to work with. So that really made it a pleasure, because you have long days, and if there's someone on the set that's, a dark cloud, that can make it a little, no one wants to be here anymore. And I could sense how nervous Christina was because, I mean, let's face it, it's very hard to do what we do, and people are so scared of public speaking that, what's that statistic that people would rather be murdered than
Yeah, they rather
speak in
be
public.
they'd rather be in the coffin than say the eulogy.
Exactly. So I could tell that she was really nervous, which is interesting because she's a performer, but I get how that's very different, singing and having your lines and rehearsing with music and having all these other things to support you versus just standing up on a stage with a mic is very different. But Don, when I tell you, I felt like a proud mother at a graduation for their child that they weren't sure they were going to graduate. Like it was, I wanted to flip tables, jump on chairs when she did such a good job. And I knew that she was going to do a good job, but I knew she had to get out of her head. I knew she
Right.
had to like believe that she could do a good job because we could tell her that until we're blue in the face. But unless she believed it, it wasn't going to happen. And she pulled it together and just, I was in awe at how funny she was. And I'm
Well,
not just saying that because I helped teach her.
and for those who don't know, Christina Can is a show that we're working on where Christina Holloway, who is a gospel singer and an award-winning soul singer, is now trying to her hand at all these different fields and different aspects of life to take her out of her comfort zone to show that she could do whatever she sets her mind to. And then we brought in Darren Greggs
And
and Fudge, the comedian, and also Tony Walker was there. And Governors, shout out to Governors for letting us utilize the space for the shoot. It was awesome. And you guys, I tell you, I'm editing the piece now, like the last few weeks. I've been working on it, and the advice you gave, you really came through with a lot of stuff. You kind of broke it down, premise, topic, and where's the punchline, and help her find all of that. And I think between the three of you really kind of gave her the confidence that I don't think she had initially, just the sheer confidence of getting up there and doing it, and then you helped her find where the funny was, and some
yeah,
pretty dark stuff.
really dark stuff. I mean, but she was so naturally funny when she was just like telling us the story and delivering it and with such a candor where it was like, okay, if you can take this and put it on stage, you're gonna knock it out the park, but there are people who are like, people tell me I should be a comic all the time, like my family thinks I'm so funny. It's like, keep it at the kitchen table, you
Right,
know
right, yeah.
it's like a lot of times that can't translate to stage, and she translated it so perfectly where I honestly wouldn't be surprised if she did it again.
She said she wouldn't mind doing it again, that she definitely is catching the bug, because I think, because like you guys even said in the during the episode, that she has a lot of experience being on stage, and having that stage presence is big, and she was very comfortable up there, and with the natural funny, and then plus what you guys helped bring out of her, she looked like she's been doing it for like 4 or 5 years or something. She didn't look like that was her first time. She was like came across like a natural.
She really, really did. I mean, I was laughing harder at her jokes and her delivery than some of the comedy shows that I have to host. And that's no
Right.
shade to anyone, but that's just how well she did.
Yeah, yeah. And it was great seeing you up there, and you killed, and it's really fun watching you perform, and Darren and everybody. It was just a great night overall. I just had a blast working with everybody.
Yeah, I was literally floating for a few days. I just felt so good after that shoot. And I felt like watching Fudge perform was like watching a master class. I mean, that was my first time working with him and my first time getting to see him perform. And just the way that he pulls from the toolbox of talent that he has is just incredible. I felt so bad because when we were shooting something right before Christina got on stage, he like sang something and I was like, let's leave the singing to Christina. And then totally forgetting that he had been on tour in China, like totally forgetting we had had that conversation. And then he got on stage and started singing. I was like, I went up to him afterward. I was like, I am so sorry. I eat my words. I so apologize. I know when I'm wrong, and I was wrong. You can sing. I'm sorry.
He was great, and and just came out swinging right from the beginning, just making fun of the stage, and I think what was great was he started with the common experience what we're all going through, this little crowded room, the way the stage looks like it could be in a shower, all these kind of things, and I think that that helps bring everybody together to share the moment, instead of just doing a straight set. You're now all together in a situation, you know.
Yes. Yes. It was exceptional. I was literally crying. So the whole show from the Rooter to the Tutor, everyone did a great job. Christina knocked it out the park, and yeah, I really enjoyed watching Fudge. So thank you. Thank you for having me be a part of the
Well,
experience. It was great.
I'm so happy, and thank you guys for all being part of it. It was a huge night. It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm in the post-production part of it now, so I'm kind of reliving it every day, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great job by all, and like I said, you really, you know, you could tell that that you have that teaching type of background, that you teach comedy, because it comes through in how you kind of help steer the ship a little bit in the process, you know.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, I started teaching comedy, I think back in 2018. And I come from a long line of teachers. So I think it's like it's in me. My grandmother, both my grandmothers were teachers. My mom was a teacher. My grandfather was a teacher. So it's like it's in the blood.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
I since teachers and comics get paid pretty comparably, I went with comedy.
And it's way more fun. It's way more fun than teaching math, I think.
Way more fun, way more drink tickets. So
There you go. And you get to hang out every night. That's one of the funnest parts. You get the camaraderie amongst the comedians, and the hangout is always a fun time.
yeah, for sure. For sure. Part of the reason I'm so tired today.
Before we did this, I got you on the phone. I was rocking out, man, to the song called "The Fuckboy Commandments." It was pretty awesome.
I've been in this game for years. I met a lot of animals. There's rules to the shit. I wrote me a manual, a step-by-step booklet for you to get your game intact and your fuckboys on track.
Did you like it?
Yeah, yes, I was pleasantly surprised. I was like, "What is this?" And all of a sudden, it's like you rocking it, with the Fuckboy Commandments, man. Who was the
Thank you.
girl? Who was your co-rapper in the group?
That was Parnia. She's originally from San Diego, but lives in Brooklyn now. We used to do a radio show together.
Nice.
And I was in South Africa in an Uber. And I remember saying to my friends, I was like, we need like a manual. We need something that's going to help us like avoid these fuckboys. And I remember just writing it down as a note, which is why I always tell people write things down, because I completely forgot about this thing. And then I was like going through my notes and I was like, oh, fuck Book of Commandments. Oh, I forgot that I thought about that. Then I mentioned it to an ex-boyfriend of all people. And he's like, I love it. I love it. And we started writing the first draft of it. And then I mentioned it to Parney. She was like, I would love to help you shoot this. And of course, I want to be in it. And I was like, absolutely. So then I revised it with her. Then we all got together and did a final revision. And yeah, Parney and I shot that on like a cell phone in Brooklyn one afternoon. And it's one of my favorite projects. I love it so much. Shout out to Biggie, Notorious B.I.G. And yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Number 5, never let him crash where you rest at. He's really only good for 1 pound. Tell him bounce.
It was awesome, and you had the salt and pepper vibe going on, and definitely, the commandments were all good. So, just for what is a fuckboy? Exactly.
Very good question, Don. A fuckboy. How shall we define such a creature? One who is not always truthful with others and themselves, one who lacks integrity and does what he wants when he wants it, regardless of the consequences or how other people feel. One who doesn't value people around him, and just seems to, and they're fuck girls too, but I don't care about that.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, you don't have to worry about them. Fuck girls.
It's not my vibe. So good luck, guys. Make your own song, So yeah, I mean, users and abusers is probably the most concise way to put
So,
it, but
like a player.
yeah, like I don't want to be a player no more. Yeah, a player is the
Because
best way. Is the best way to put it.
it seemed like like at the end of the song, like, or maybe I misinterpreted that. At some points, you want the fuck boy for certain deeds, but then you just want to get rid of him. Like, you don't want to bring him too close. You don't want to take pictures with him. You don't want him on Instagram. You keep him at a distance, but he's there. It's like a give and take.
It's knowing the devil you're dancing with.
Nice, I like that.
It's like, all right, if you know that this person is that, don't try to make him your husband. And then
Right.
you want to be hurt. You knew who he was.
Right,
This is not a surprise,
right. Yeah, so sometimes there's a use for those types of people. Like if if you know they're a player or a fuck boy or a fuck girl, whatever, you know what you're dealing with. Like you said, know the devil you're dancing with, and then you could make something at your disposal.
Right. Navigate the choices accordingly, but we can't play around with scorpions and be like, oh my God, I'm stung, like,
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, you were.
The only good fuckboy is one that you control with the limited goal to satisfy your hoe.
I was digging this. Is that the only like rap song you ever did, or do you have more? Like, because you were pretty good, and you and Parney were a good team.
Thank you. When I was young, yeah. So we did have another one that we wanted to do. I wouldn't say it out loud, but I want to do it. So,
Okay, nice.
so yeah, we've been talking about it for years, but we just haven't gotten around to doing it. I actually, in full transparency, when I was teaching with an organization and there was a school in the Bronx that found fuckboy commandments and didn't necessarily appreciate it and didn't want me to be in their school teaching their children. And I'm like,
Really?
half those kids are looking up to Cardi B. Like, what do you mean? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Like the what I did is nowhere near the worst that these children are listening to or
Exactly.
watching or have access to on the internet. And at least I can help navigate them into, upstanding citizens, at least to the best of my ability. So when that happened, I kind of like pulled back from doing more, but I have to remind myself that I am an artist and I'm not just a teacher. I teach, but that's not who I am. So I don't necessarily, and that's one of the reasons that I didn't go into teaching, because I don't want to have to hold myself accountable to other people's expectations based on what they think that I should be, because that's not me being a free and creative artist. So it's taken a few years for me to like reconcile that in my brain. So yeah, I want to do more parodies. When I was young, I used to I remember write out like Craig Mack lyrics.
Craig Mack. He's Brentwood. He's where I'm from. I used to work with him back in the day. God bless Craig Mack.
Really?
Yeah. Me and him used to rap battle. Believe it or not, I used to rap. I'm from Brentwood. Everybody in Brentwood had a rap group.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's so crazy.
Yeah, man.
Oh, rest in peace, Craig Mack. That's so
Rest in
cool that you
peace,
knew
man.
him.
Yeah, we used to rap battle. I worked with him in Toys R Us at night, at the night shift. And it was this is before Flavor in the Year pop. This is about Flavor in the Year, I think was 92. This is like 91, 90, 91, right? We were both two young guys about the same age. And he was already known in Brentwood because he recorded a song earlier. He was like Easy, what was his name? He had different names, like Easy something, right? And he had his hit song locally, could never make it now. It's called Get Retarded. And it's like, yo, because I'm about to get retarded. And he doesn't even sound like, he doesn't have that same crazy flow back then. He's had a straight old school, vibe. But
Yeah,
yeah, so I work with them and we used to rap battle all the time. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Craig because he's a good dude and God bless him, you know.
that's so cool. Oh my God. Yes, Craig Mack. He had I had his cassette and there was a song because I love Flavor in the Ear. But there was a song that was on either the single cassette that I had. I think it was called Shamika.
You make my body weaker. You're booming like L speaker, and boy, I love the freak ya.
I think it was called Shamika, but I
Yeah.
remember I like rewrote it and made it like me talking to a dude.
Oh, nice.
So I would so I would do little things like that, but never and I used to hang out with a bunch of dudes in the studio all the time. Yes, I was that girl. And but I never like jumped in. I never like got on the mic or anything like that. So while I've been rapping in secret and and only at karaoke, we figured, yeah, we can bring it to the forefront for Fuckboy Commandments.
Yeah, you
So
rocked it. And it's crazy too, like you talk about, being a teacher and the whoever parents or whatever found the video. It's just crazy that, you know, that's something that matters, like what you do in your free time or what you do is in another job or what, has to affect, like the teaching job. Like, how come I can't be this in my own time? Why does that affect me here? As long as I'm not wrapping the commandments to the students, it shouldn't matter, you know.
100%. 100. I mean, it's funny because Rachel Dolezal or Nkechi, whatever her name is was just fired from her teaching job for OnlyFans. Now, like, you know, do I want to see my teacher's tits? Not really, but again, it is her free time. And if you paid teachers more money, maybe they wouldn't have to show their tits. So
If they're making a million, like what do they make? Like some OnlyFans, and plus OnlyFans is behind the paywall, right? So you're not seeing unless you pay for it. Again, kids
right.
might know back, back doorway, no pun intended, back doorways into see the the OnlyFans for free. But if it's behind the paywall, and also they're making like what, some of them like 50 grand a month or something like that or more.
Yes.
So, and what do they make as a teacher? Maybe 50 grand a year or,
Yeah, maybe. Yes.
yeah. So it's a, it's, they should be lucky she still wants to teach.
100%. Exactly. Exactly. I think it's a bigger conversation of what teachers deserve, and people want to hold teachers to, because I watch my mom do this all the time. Like my mom wouldn't want to carry like a wine bottle in public, or always
Right,
had to be
right.
on her P's and Q's when she was in public because she was a long time educator. So we're dealing with kids from 30 years, there'd be like old people that come up to her like, you were my teacher. And she's like, what? I don't want to claim that. But I had to watch her always be on her P's and Q's. And it's just interesting that we hold teachers to a standard that we don't hold each other to, like parents don't even hold each other to that accountability that they expect someone who's teaching trigonometry or gym to be this upstanding citizen when you do worse things in front of your child every single day that teacher's trying to negate.
That's a great point. That's a great point. So many parents curse in front of their kids, or they watch, movies, R-rated movies in front of the kids, and that's normal now. Like back when I was a kid, oh, it's R-rated, you got to go and all that. And now,
The
now our rating is like, what? There's a rating? Like the kids don't even know there's a rating to these movies. They just watch whatever they want.
exactly.
And that's the parenting, right? And so why would they hold the teacher that accountable where, hey, oh, you know what? I don't like that song you sang on YouTube, you know, we're going to complain. It's just there's this weird thing. Like, I don't know, with people, it's
It's
do as I
really
say, not
weird.
as I do. Yeah.
It's really, really weird. And yeah, for that reason, like whenever I'm teaching, I generally just like have them call me Dara. They really don't know my last name. Maybe they'll hear it like once, but there's no there's no reason for them to, and I guess there are not that many Daras in there, but they're really going to have to do some searching.
Right.
And
They're
if they
gonna
want
have
to do
to,
that much searching, then fine. It's better than the porn that they would be searching. You know what I'm like?
if you tell them, if you find me, do your search. If you find me on YouTube, just give me a like and hit the subscribe button, and we'll be all good.
100%. 100%. Show it to your mom again. I need the replay.
But what's crazy too is it's one thing, I guess, if they go on to hold teachers to a higher standard, but also in your other profession as a comedian, they hold comedians to a certain standard too, where there's a tightrope you have to walk, otherwise you can fall into this camp or fall into this. It feels like there's teams, and if you say, like, let's say you're a Democrat, but you say something about Biden, all of a sudden they're like, no, we no longer want you in our team anymore. You went against the one of our sacred cows. It's just a weird time period. What do you feel that out there in the city, working the clubs?
I do think that we are truth tellers, and I think that that is our responsibility. Now, truth can be subjective. So I always like to dig for the lowest common denominator of truth, like the what we can mostly agree on, whether we like it or not, you know.
Right, right.
Um, but I do think that there is a bit of a herd mentality that's happening. I even find it with it's odd that I'm saying this out loud, but I even find it sometimes with myself where I'll see something on the internet and then I won't know how to feel about it until I go to the comment section
Right.
and see how everyone else is feeling about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, we don't like this. And I'm like, Dara, wait, like
You see that a lot. I think we all kind of succumb to that because we all, we all want to be. It's in us. We all want to be accepted. We all want to be part of the winning team. We all want to be, amongst friends. So it is kind of one sometimes where you kind of go, how do I feel about this? All right, let me see how everybody feels. Oh yeah, okay, I can get with that.
it's so odd that like opinions are just harder to formulate on your own nowadays, and it's like as much as I want to be like, yeah, the problem is in the world, I have to be honest with myself. It's like, no, I fall susceptible to that too, and it's
Right.
hard to go against the grain sometimes, but then that's when I have to dig into like the truth of the matter or how I really feel about it and have the courage to share it and say it out loud. But that's when the architecture of the joke is important because you got to be able to hit, you can't just like, sometimes you can't just like spit the truth out, you got to shift the boat this way, shift the boat this way, and then boop, oh, you can't be mad because you didn't like this and you didn't like this, so then this must be true.
Right, right, yeah. Like they say, there's no taboo subjects, and that if you do it right, you can make anything funny. And you see some guys do it. I think um, again, everybody now, there's so much controversy around a lot of comedians, but the ones I think that do it great as far as could get into uncomfortable topics and still find the funny, where the funny is. I think Louis C.K. and Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Chris Rock. I think those guys are masters at that, and I think a lot of these younger comics are trying to emulate that, but they fall flat because they're not them. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a high bar to be able to pull it off.
100%. It's a really fine line to walk. I know that this happened about a year ago. There was someone who came to my show and she sent me an email. She found me. I'm like, are you the student's parent? No. I was like, how'd you find my email? Anyway, she sends me an email and she's like, I really want to do comedy. I'm like, okay, well, at that point I was hosting a mic and she comes and about like she had some kind of potential, but obviously needed work. She was new, and that's fine. And we're sitting around talking one day at the mic. Maybe it's her third time there. And she's like, yeah, I really want to do a joke about the criminal justice system and how it treats Black men. And I'm like, girl, write a tight 5 about bananas first. Like, what do you mean you want to tackle
Right.
the
Yeah.
criminal justice system for Black men and you want to make it a joke? I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, fast forward a few days, I then saw Andre D. Thompson do one of the funniest jokes about him being in a jury and his experience with being Black in the criminal justice system. And I'm like, that's what time and experience does, and being able to find your voice and actually have that be coming from your truth. Because guess what, friend? You're not a Black man in the criminal justice system. So you got to dig real deep to
Yeah.
make that shit funny. You know what I mean? And you're just not there yet. Like, play around with less like gritty topics and get good at formulating your own voice, and then maybe you'll get to the point where you can make political statements during your comedy set, because this isn't a TED Talk, girl.
Right. Right on. And yeah, it's definitely hard to tackle those things, but it also, like you said, comes with experience, but also, to your point about premise and the juxtaposition of, like, for him, he was in the jury observing, so he already puts you in this perspective of where he's at and how he's seeing what he's seeing, to kind of make the joke unfold. And I think that's important, rather than just kind of go straight at it. Hey, you ever see the justice system? Like, then maybe it's not so it's not gonna be, it's gonna fall flat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because where has she been Black in the justice system? Like, on
Right.
either side. You know what I mean? It's just not, it's not your story. And that's, I'm not saying that I don't think that there are topics off limits. I don't think that you have to look a certain way in order to say something, but you got to do it with finesse, and unless you know how to finesse it like that, then work on something else and work your way up to that, you
Right.
know?
Right.
And then sometimes you have to take like creative liberties. Like, one of my very first jokes was about my friend who had stage 4 lung cancer. And it was inspired by that moment of her telling me that she had stage 4 lung cancer. And when I first started writing the joke, I was in a comedy class, and my comedy teacher was like, so you can't start a show with stage 4 lung cancer. Like, you just can't do it. It's just not gonna go how you think it's gonna go. And I changed it to herpes, which is way funnier than stage 4 lung cancer. And I'm sure that there is someone who can make a joke about stage 4 lung cancer, but since it's not coming from my personal experience where I'm talking about it, I can't, and I can't also ignore the fact that the majority of the people, or not the majority, God forbid, but people know people who are dealing with cancer. Like, I don't want to trigger anyone by making a joke about a very serious situation.
Right.
But I
Right.
am trying to tell on myself and how I felt, like, not to go in the joke, but like, I just had to tell on myself in that I wasn't sure that I was being the most supportive friend. It was more about me telling on myself than it was me trying to make a joke about stage 4 lung cancer. So that's why we just changed it to herpes, and then we were still able to get the point out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And like you said too, herpes is not only a lighter disease, I guess, but it's also a funnier word. It's a funnier, people, how you get herpes is, might be a funny, equated with sexual problems or something like that. So automatically it becomes funny just in that alone, and then whatever you add to it, your premise and your take on it, I think does it good. But I've seen comics tackle cancer before. A lot of comics who had cancer or overcame cancer would normally could do it, or if a family member, like you said, if you're tied to it. And I think it comes through differently if you actually experienced it either firsthand or secondhand, then if it's you're just bringing it up out of the ether. Like, if I started making jokes about stage 4 cancer, people are like, man, what a asshole this guy is.
Exactly. Exactly. And then people are just stuck thinking about Pawpaw and how he died. You know what I mean? Like, that's not how I want to, I don't want to trigger anybody. I don't want anyone just thinking about their loved ones and what they're going through, you know? So, yeah, so I think you got it. You can talk about anything, but you have to do it with finesse. You gotta like, also, it's gotta be, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not appealing, but like digestible, you
Oh yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like you can't just serve people a plate with like peanut butter kimchi and like nuts. That's not appetizing. You know what I mean? It's got to be something that they can take slow bites of and be like, "Oh yeah, this is delicious," you know? And that was a really weird food combination. I don't know why that
I was like, wow, peanut butter and kimchi. I was like wondering, is that a thing? Maybe I'll try it if I'm really daring. Yeah, you know.
Now
If
that I say it out loud, I'm like, I don't know, maybe like a little peanut butter kimchi stew. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
yeah, I could try that. I had kimchi. Um, yeah, it's one of those things that I like it after I eat it, but I don't ever crave it. You know what I mean?
I started craving kimchi about a year ago, and now I don't go without having it in my refrigerator.
Wow.
It's yeah, I don't know what probiotics my body needed, but they were like, "We need kimchi," and I was like, "Okay, say less." And now I, w- I will stop at like little markets after shows and make sure my kimchi. I need my kimchi in my life. It's
Nice.
weird.
Now
And
you're
I
making me
got
want to
really
go.
mad at a comic for coming. What'd you say?
Oh, I said now you're making me want to go get some.
Yeah, it's I highly recommend kimchi, which is really funny because I got mad at a comic who came to my house and opened up kimchi, and I was like, "How dare you come to my house and open up stinky kimchi?" And now I'm the one always.
Uh, so when you're uh, teaching, comedy to people, or like even with Christina, um, are you learning from that as well? Like sometimes when like for me when I walk people through something or teach them something, I'm also kind of learning. It's weird. I'm learning it as I'm teaching it. I'm learning something new. Do you find that?
100%. I feel like I'm able to kind of see it through their eyes almost, and like something that feels like it's second nature when they ask questions, and I'm like, oh yeah, like when I was like, yeah, a bit, and she's like, what's a bit? And I was like, oh yeah, I really got to break this down. Like I really like we gotta back all the way up because I like you got to catch yourself in teaching it as if the person already knows, you know? It's
Right.
like that's not what's happening here. They don't know. So you got to like break it down and then like figure out the curiosities that they have and how you can actually like inform them so that they can retain the information, you know? So just I think having to shift and play with words and figure out, and everyone learns differently too, you know?
Right. Yeah.
um like I feel like growing up I learned very differently, and I didn't realize that until later in life. So I really like to respect when I see that people don't always get things the same way, you know? Like I'm very visual, so I have to write things down. And sometimes my kids are like, I don't need to write things down. And I'm like, but you do. And then they're fine. They don't, you know, but I'm a firm believer that you have to write everything down. But I also find that I get really inspired when I see them take, you know, the lessons and apply them and make it their own. I'm like, oh, this is the worst.
Yeah. You
Worst.
like I said, you really shined through in the episode, and you mentioned the when you told her we just gotta, it's just gonna do this bit and then we'll move on. She's like, what's a bit? And what you did great in that moment was you identified it with something that she would understand. So instead of like getting into the definition of bit and going through the whole thing, you just said it's like a song. It's like because she's a singer, so you're like it's like a song. Like how you know what the song is. That's what a bit is. So like each bit is different, just like a song. So, and I think that kind of stuff helped her really kind of digest, all the information that you were telling her, and she got a really good understanding of how to do her set up there.
Yeah.
Like her
Yeah.
set
It
would
just,
be, like 10 songs. Now instead of 10 songs, it's 10 bits. I get it, so I think it clicked,
yeah, you got to speak their language,
yeah.
whatever it is that they know, try to find the common, find the synonym. Is that what I'm looking for? That's not what I'm looking
The
for. But you know what?
synergy, the synergy.
We'll go with synergy. Yeah.
Okay.
Find the synergy. We'll go with that. Words are failing me.
No.
And I use them for a living, Don.
No, you're doing great. Like, I know you're tired, you had, and all that. So I appreciate you being like so. I would never know you were tired. I would
I
never
know
know.
I shouldn't have said that. I should have just fooled the people.
Uh, no, you were awesome. The episode's great. We're looking to have once we get it completed, we're hoping maybe in March or early April to have kind of get the cast together to kind of watch it and have like a little private viewing of it and kind of celebrate what we did. Because like I told Hasib, I was like, no matter what happens with the show, if we sell it, don't sell it, or whatever, wherever it goes, if it just ends up in YouTube land or wherever, which we have high hopes for it, and we'll have that off air. I'll talk to you more about that. But we're hoping big things happen. But regardless of that, it's something that we all accomplished. We all made it happen. It was extremely positive vibes, like you said earlier. There was no bad apples. Everybody was happy and upbeat, and it was a great synergy. And what an amazing experience for all of us. I think we were all kind of walking on air a couple days after that. I know I was just like, I still am because I'm still working on it. So I'm like, man, we got something here. So,
Yeah.
and that's a testament to all of you that were involved in this, and we couldn't have done it without anybody. So yeah, great job. And now we're also thinking, Hasib like loves you, and he's like Dara is a star, man. He's like cause we're working on another show that we're trying to pull off. This is a scripted one. He's like, we got to get Dara in here, man. I got a part right here, because so yeah, so kudos to you for shining through.
Thank you. I would love to work with you guys again. Yeah, he mentioned that to me. He was like, "Do you act?" And I was like, "I do." Why? What's happening? And
This can't be happening. This is happening. It's really happening. It's really happening. Oh my God! It's just, yes!
You're awesome, Dara. Thanks so much for taking the time and talking to me again. It's always a blast seeing you, working with you, and all that good stuff. Tell everybody where they can find you and follow you and all that fun stuff.
yeah, so I'm Dara Jemmott on Facebook, and I'm Chocolate JEM on Instagram. JEM being my last name, the beginning of my last name, not because I don't know how to spell gem. Let's just make that clear. I don't have Twitter or X, whatever it's called now, because I don't want to get canceled. And you can also see some of my comedy on my YouTube channel with Dara Jemmott.
Dara, thanks again so much. Everybody check her out. Dara Jemmott, everybody.